Hi, I'm Ken Locke, and I'm here with Laura Locke.
And we recently visited with Jesse Lepkoff, a local musician who is fluent in music of the Baroque era, as well as blues and bossa nova. Here's our interview. Okay, well, I'm very excited to be sitting with Jesse Lepkoff, who's agreed to spend some time with us talking about his musical journey in this beautiful space. And how did you get your start in music?
Okay, well, I started playing the baritone ukulele, which was a birthday present from my father at age 11. And there was a little book that came with it, and it had things like songs like 5'2", Eyes of Blue, really old songs which my parents really liked, and there were little chord charts, and I started singing the songs, and it was great. And then shortly after that, I started playing my father's guitar. My father played a very little bit of guitar, and I had a few lessons. I think I might have had lessons for a couple of months. But I learned from that teacher how to finger pick, which was really great. I learned freight train. It took a lot of doing alternating bass with the thumb. But, my brother, I have an older brother, Danny, and he learned everything that I learned. I think he didn't want his younger brother to outdo him, so. And I was very nice. I taught him everything, and we ended up both playing and figuring out songs by ear. We liked old blues songs, Mississippi John Hurt. But going back more into my music background, my parents loved classical music. They loved opera, and we had a record collection. And I was enchanted by all those records. I would come home from school and ask to have put on these classical records, and I would draw when I listened to them, and so I guess in a way I was very musically literate from a young age because I was listening to a lot of different variety. And my father also liked folk music. He played a little bit of folk songs. And we went to concerts. I lived in Manhattan in New York on the Lower East Side, and we went to hear jazz in the Modern Museum of Modern Art in the Garden, Jazz in the Garden. We went to the concerts for young people, Leonard Bernstein.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so I was enchanted by music from a very early age, and my brother played the recorder, and he was pretty good at it, and I never thought I would be able to play the recorder. It was like my older brother, admired him, and I always loved Baroque music, and later I took up Baroque music myself. One summer, when I was about 20 years old, I was in my family's Vermont home in Jamaica, Vermont, Pikes Falls, and there was a soprano recorder laying around, and I got a book and just taught myself through the book. And then later on, I took some lessons with a local teacher, and I always loved Baroque music from the time I was about 14. I heard my parents had a record of Purcell, Henry Purcell. And when I heard that, I was just blown away by
One
it.
of England's greatest composers.
Yeah, so I actually, when I was in high school, I started listening to Baroque music very seriously. And I went through all of Bach's keyboard music. I went to concerts in the city of harpsichordists, and so when my teacher, my recorder teacher that I had in Brattleboro, put a Handel sonata in front of me, and I realized I was playing Handel, I just went nuts. I just was like so excited, and that's what happens to me is I fall in love with a type of music, and I go very deeply into it, and it's like I just become, 110% into it. So anyway, I ended up going through conservatory. I got good enough on the recorder, and I took some lessons with Bernard Cranus, who was a pretty famous recorder player at that time. And he was at Bennington College, and I heard about him being there, and I sat in on a class that he taught. And I approached him afterwards and asked if I could take some lessons from him, a few lessons, and he said, well, I charge the same as a psychiatrist, $45 an hour, which at that time, this was in the early 70s, was a lot of money. But I took some lessons with him, and I learned some really amazing things from him that have served me to this day.
Well worth it.
Yeah,
A good
he
investment.
taught me how to double tongue, and that's sort of an advanced technique that a lot of recorder players
I have never heard of that. I didn't know
don't
you could
know how to
double
do,
tongue
and
on a recorder.
He was talking about the sources that were written in the 18th century and what they said you had to do to play. So it was a time of the revival of early music, of the recorder, of the harpsichord, playing on original instruments.
Here's Jessie playing treble recorder for Jacques Martin Hadeter's Allemande.
I started playing the recorder, I think, in 74, and by the time 76 came around, I was enrolled at the Lange School of Music in Cambridge.
I saw that you have a credit on Nonesuch. That's something else. Do you you recorded something for Nonesuch?
Yeah, I've recorded many CDs with the group
wow.
that I ended up getting hired by, the Boston Camerata.
I see.
Joel
did you
Cohn was the
play-
director.
Please tell me more about the Boston Camerata.
Well, I want to continue on with, so I went to the Lange School of Music, and there I started meeting, I had a very good recorder teacher who taught me a whole lot, and at the time there was a fellow student who was playing the traverso, or the Baroque flute, and I said, can I try it? And when I tried it, right away I could get a very good tone on it. So it was natural, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try playing this too. And so I studied both instruments, and then I transferred to the New England Conservatory. So at that time they had a very good early music department, so specializing in early instruments. And I studied the flute and the recorder, and graduated, I think, in about 1981. I'm not sure of that, something like that. And shortly thereafter, there was a fellow student, Ann Azema, who was a soprano, and she was married to the director of the Boston Camerata, Joel Cohn. And I think that's why I got asked to audition for the group. And I auditioned, and what happened was that Joel picked a few different players for different programs during the year. And my first program was at Jordan Hall. It was 1984. And, you know, big hall, big important hall in Boston. It was my first time stepping out onto that stage in a professional capacity. And it was an amazing experience because, well, one of the things that happened was Joel, like minutes before the concert started, he said, "Jesse, I'd like you to improvise a prelude before this medieval chanson."
Wow.
And I was like, okay, you know, what was I going to say? No, I'm not doing it. So I had literally probably 2 minutes, and I just played the mode of the song and, you know, just decided to just go out and do it, and it came off really well. And so that was very exciting.
He must have had a lot of faith in your playing.
I think it was a test of fire too. He wanted to see how I reacted, but he must have had some faith in me because otherwise I might have bombed out. But so then I was given a tour in Europe with a program called The Sacred Bridge, which was ancient music of both in the old Jewish music and old Muslim music and Christian music, and it showed the similarities between the two. It was a really interesting program, which has lasted through many, many years and went through different permutations. But anyway, I had a long career with the Boston Camerata. I'm on probably 14 CDs, all different kinds of early music, Renaissance music, Baroque music. And through that group, I met a lot of high-level musicians that became friends and colleagues for my own projects. But going back to the songwriting and the guitar, so I always kept my hand with the guitar because I liked to play these old blues songs and folk music, and it's just something I loved and kept. But it kind of a little bit fell by the wayside while I was doing all this Baroque stuff. But one day I was holding the guitar and I played a chord. I found a chord on the guitar. And I said, that's the chord from the song Corcovado by Antonio Carlos Jobim. And I always loved bossa nova. That was another music that I fell in love with. That famous recording of Joao Gilberto, Jobim, and Stan Getz, that had Girl from Ipanema on it, and Corcovado. I must have listened to that record about 1,000 times. I wore it out. I just loved it. I was really enchanted by the guitar playing. I liked Stan Getz's solos, which were sort of out in front, but I loved the voice, the language, and the subtlety of it, and the subtlety of the guitar and the harmonies. I was really taken by that. And when I found that chord on the guitar, I somehow figured out the whole song, with these chord shapes that were pretty unfamiliar to me. I kind of found them, and I got pretty excited about that. And the same thing happened with Baroque music. I got really excited about learning. And then I had to learn to sing in Portuguese because these songs many of them are all in Portuguese. So I took some lessons with a Brazilian friend on the pronunciation and listened very carefully. Anyway, when later on, when my first wife kind of left me and I was in this divorce situation, I wrote a song that was a bossa nova, kind of a sad song, and it opened up a whole other path of creativity for me, was writing my own songs.
Here's Jesse performing his original composition, The Day Will Come.
The day will come, your trail will take a turn. A new wind will blow to fill your sail, and you will see the past will be history. The sun will burn off the clouds in your sky. Those clouds that made you cry. You will know when with the turning tide you follow the waves that flow in with the turning tide, then you will know that day has come. You look back at me through scornful eyes. The cynic in you thinks itself very wise, but are you sure with your gaze cast down at the floor? Lift your head to the place where the land meets the sky. See who's coming by and by. Will know when with the turning tide you follow the waves that flow in with the turning tide, then you will know that day has come. You'll land on a new and distant shore, one you've never seen before, so lush, so green. Oh. I had the vocabulary and the language of the bossa nova. I learned all these chords and I just started making my own compositions and songs and got really into it. I've written probably 30 or 40 bossa nova songs.
Wow, that's quite a catalog there. Have you recorded them?
Yes, I have 2 recordings that I self-recorded.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I still have copies of them. And on the second one, I even double-tracked my flute playing into some of the pieces.
Any other instrumentalists or singers involved, or just
No,
solo
no,
project?
just myself.
Mm-hmm.
I did have, and I sort of do have a trio or a quartet. We called ourselves Serenata Bossa Nova, with flutist Allison Hale and Daryl Niffen playing drums, and Tyler Gibbons sometimes plays bass. And I've teamed up with some singers on occasion with that. But it's hard to get everyone together because everyone's just so busy.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
to get together and play. And then my other style of songwriting is the early blues style. So my father, when we were young, he would tape things off the radio, and we were in New York. WBAI would play very eclectic music. And, you know, I was really taken by the really early jazz blues songs by Bessie Smith, Ma Rainey, Ida Cox, and others.
I have to interject that I love that you're crediting the progenitors of the form, which were females, women singers.
Yeah, the female singers, I don't know, for whatever reason, those compositions often weren't 12-bar blues. They were more complex forms, and they sometimes modulated, or they just had a lot going on, and they were bluesy, but they weren't really strict like the 12-bar blues form.
The 12-bar blues form is basically, it's an easy entry form, so anybody can join. It's like you know where to jump in, you know where to jump out, so it's ease of entry, I think.
So I started arranging some of the Bessie Smith songs for the guitar, and in some cases I would kind of condense there would be a trumpet, a clarinet, a tuba, and I would sort of make an arrangement that had some of those elements in the guitar. And so I really liked playing those songs. I just think they're really great songs, and not too many people are playing them now, you know. And then I started writing in that style, using that, again, the vocabulary, the style that I learned from playing those Bessie Smith songs.
Here's Jessie performing Coon in the Hen House Blues.
My woman left me to mind the farm, saying, don't let my livestock come to any harm. She put her dancing shoes on her feet, saying, you tend the garden, you raise the wheat. She left for Bolivia, so far away. Me, I'm just a city boy, allergic to hay. Chickens, ducks, turkeys too, rabbits multiplying, man, I ain't lying. I didn't know just what to do, 'cause I'm as green as I am blue. Woke two chickens screaming, or are they nightmare demons? Coon in a hen house and I'm seeing red. Two hens lie dead. A fox heard the ruckus, he was checking it out, waiting in the wings. What in all creation got me into this sticklish situation? The very next evening, you wouldn't believe it, the biggest bear I'd ever seen come nosing round our feet. One day a hen was running out of her mind, puffs of her plumage flying out her behind. Some nasty beast was underneath her, biting on her bottom in this latest creature feature. I'm gonna give it a good licking, so I got my foot under that chicken. I kicked up a weasel 30 feet in the air, landed with a thud, didn't even care. I asked my neighbor, what's the answer? He said, light a firecracker, you can buy 'em in New Hampshire. salesman said, that's illegal. Now, son, go on out, get yourself a gun. Call me mellow yellow, I'm not a gun-toting fellow. But what do I do if the coon comes back? Tell him, hold out your wrist and I'll give it a smack. Come back, baby, come back soon. I hear coyotes howling at the moon. I ain't no rooster, yeah, but I ain't proud now. I sleep in the coop with the radio on loud.
Those are the three types of music I do. Or now I play mostly Baroque music. I don't play as much Renaissance music, but I have my own Baroque group, chamber group, that we get together in the summer mostly and make up a program of chamber music. So this summer it's myself on flute and recorder. I have Peter Sykes on harpsichord, Emlyn Nye on violin, and Ryan Seidler playing cello.
Where will you perform?
Well, there's a chamber music festival in Jamaica that was started by my dear friend Susanna Lowy, and it's called the Pikes Falls Chamber Music Festival. And so she is a flutist also, but she's a modern flutist, and she brings her colleagues up for a Vermont experience and puts on these amazing concerts.
And when is that?
That's, I think it starts on the 6th of August and goes through that weekend, whatever that is. It's probably the 10th or something, 10th or 11th. And we're playing on the 7th. It's a Wednesday night. And that's in the town hall in Jamaica, Vermont.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That sounds
And then
cool.
we're also repeating that program in Brattleboro on October 27th, coming up in the fall, at the Brattleboro Art Museum. And I am so excited to be playing at the Brattleboro Art Museum.
Oh, it's
I've
such
wanted
a
to
great
play
space.
there
Yes.
for a long time, and I finally met the right person to talk to.
Here's Jesse playing a 6-string banjo.
Wanna know why I'm so distressed? Gotta get something off my chest. You make me feel so blue. 'Cause when I go to speak up, it ain't no storm in no teacup. It's more like a sudden tornado. And my skin's as thin as new